I'm sure by now you are all aware about the controversy surrounding CM Punk and Jack Perry, and if you are not, let me catch you up real quick. So about 2 weeks ago, an incident took place backstage at AEW Collision between CM Punk and Jack Perry, in which CM Punk and Jack Perry had an issue regarding Jack Perry wanting to use real glass during his segments. Jack Perry wants to use real glass, and CM Punk's like, let's not do that. That seems rather unsafe. Listen, I'm not a pro wrestler. I don't claim to be. I don't know all that much about the inner workings of the business. But CM Punk probably has a point. I mean, do you really need to use real glass, especially if other wrestlers in the company are using fake glass, sugar glass, or whatever the case may be, and are still getting the point across? I mean, shoot, I see John Moxley and Kenny Omega using glass all the time in their matches. Now, if they're using real glass, that's a different point, and Jack Perry has a point to stand on. But if they're not using real glass, then it's like, well, you're no different from them. If they're using fake glass, then you should be using fake glass. So from CM Punk's standpoint, I see where he's coming from. If the circumstances are the case, of course. Especially if the Punk camp side of things are led to be believed, and Tony Schiavone and other AEW producers were advising against Jack Perry using glass, and he was still trying to do it, and CM Punk had to step in, then it's like, all right, CM Punk might be right here. No, he would be right, because if people are saying don't do it and you still want to do it, and Big Dog has to step in and say don't do it, then, because at that point, Jungle Boy is just being a deviant. Now, if we pay close attention to the day, this was 2 weeks ago when this happened. This was a non-story 2 weeks ago. There was no fight that happened 2 weeks ago. No one was talking about an altercation. It was nothing major. Most people were on CM Punk's side. This is where we fast forward to AEW's big show, AEW All In London, the most attended professional wrestling show in history. Listen, I bought the pay-per-view. It was a great show. I enjoyed most of the matches top to bottom. But therein lies the issue. People aren't talking about AEW All In. They're not talking about the show. They're talking about what happened backstage during the show. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that sounds eerily familiar to something that happened 1 year ago. Because that's all people were talking about. Nobody was talking about the amazing show, the great show AEW had. Nobody was talking about MJF's return. They were all talking about the media scrum. And CM Punk going off for Hangman Page and the Elite and Colt Cabana, drawing attention completely away from the show. Well, now here we are 1 year later. People should be talking about this, but instead they're talking about this. It's embarrassing. But now that you have the backstory, let's now dive into what happened that weekend. Now, before we get too deep into things, let's do a little disclaimer. The reports you're about to see on X or Twitter are from news outlets that I trust, ones that I go to on a regular basis. Now, these are journalists, but at the end of the day, these journalists were not there. Everything that is said is he say, she say. It was information fed to them or information they heard. So if I say something and something else completely comes out, don't drag me through the mud. I'm just going off of what somebody else said about what somebody else said. But this seems to be the story running right now, so let's talk about it. During 0 hour of AEW All In, we got Jack Perry versus Hook. Now, for his entrance, he came out in a car. This car not only turned out to just be part of the entrance, but it was part of the match too. It was a focal point. At one point during the match, Jack Perry got up on the car and he said,
Jack Perry crossing and then crushing real glass. Crushing the
Don't cry me a river.
Jack Perry rather aggressively pointed out that there is real glass being used during this match and that somebody, whoever he's talking to, should go cry themselves a river. Now, if we draw back to this article right here, it should be very apparent who he's talking about and who he's talking to. And if he was not talking about CM Punk, then he should have made that very clear. Which obviously he didn't. And even if he did make it very clear, it's very, very, very easy to see how CM Punk could have got that confused and been like, oh, he was talking about me because I told him to do this and he decided to do it anyway. Jack Perry was being a smartass. Let's be honest, he was. Then he proceeded to get suplexed on the glass by Hook. And if you watch the match, you could tell it was real glass because he got cut up on his arm. Like, it wasn't like a bad, like deep cut, like gushing blood or anything, but you could see it was a cut and it was real glass. Now listen, this is before we even get into the CM Punk drama. CM Punk stuff aside, if management, if producers backstage, if Tony Schiavone, who's a pretty big head in the company, told you not to use glass and you went and you used glass anyway, then that should be grounds for you to get fined or suspended. The real talk, that's just the end of it. Like, even before you get into CM Punk stuff, if they said no and you did it anyway, you get repercussions for going against, company policy. That could have been where it ended. It could have just ended with Jungle Boy facing repercussions, or maybe not, who knows. But CM Punk wanted to have a word with him backstage. But not just a word. Actually, I don't know if there was any words happening here. What I'm about to read to you is being reported by Brian Alvarez of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Also, pretty important piece, this was the last match on the pre-show, and this was the first match on the main show. So they were bound to cross paths. But let's get into it. Brian Alvarez was told Perry walked back after his match, and as he walked by Punk, Punk asked him if he had a problem. I do want to note before I continue that there were reports earlier yesterday that CM Punk was approached by Jack Perry after his match, not the other way around, and that Jack Perry shoulder checked Punk. That was the initial story that was being told. This is now the news story. Believe what you want to believe, but let's continue on with the news story. Perry walks by Punk. Punk says, "Do we got a problem?" Perry responded by telling Punk that Punk heard what he had to say out there. Punk said, "Do we have a problem?" Perry said, "You heard what I said." Punk then informed him that he could beat his ass. Punk then shoved him and put him in a choke. The physicality was in gorilla, and it got so close to Tony Khan that monitors fell on him. Samoa Joe reportedly broke it up. Let's take all this in here. CM Punk tells Jack Perry, "Don't use glass in your match." Jack Perry uses glass anyway. In same match, tells CM Punk to go cry himself a river. He walks backstage. CM Punk says, "Do we have a problem?" Perry basically says, "I guess so," and then Punk chokes him, and then Samoa Joe breaks it up. So, who was wrong and who was right? Well, if producers told Jack Perry no, and he did it anyway, then he is absolutely in the wrong. Jack Perry blatantly, in front of millions of people on television, called out CM Punk. Not by name, but it's very apparent that's who he was talking about because people read social media. Feeding into drama online now, you're instigating. If CM Punk would not have done or said anything to Jack Perry, this would be all Jack Perry's fault. Jack Perry would be the one getting fined or suspended, and nothing would happen to Punk. Nothing would happen to him. But CM Punk simply can't help himself. So he walks up to Perry, interrogates him, and then proceeds to choke him out. It doesn't say anywhere in reports that Jack Perry threw a punch or had the opportunity to throw a punch. It don't matter if Jack Perry called you out. You started the fight. This is the second fight you started within the company because he threw the first punch at the Young Bucks when he fought the Elite last year. I know you're about to say, "Oh, but Jack Perry, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Jack Perry called him out. CM Punk started the fight again. You don't have to react to every single negative thing somebody has to say about you. And then on top of that, it fell on your boss. You were fighting so much that it got knocked onto your boss. First of all, you already on strike 2. There shouldn't even be a strike 2, to be honest. But in that second strike, now your boss is involved in this whole thing too. Again, holding Jack Perry accountable. CM Punk should be fired. Like, you started 2 fights, bro. On top of that, you backstage telling people they can and can't come to work if you're there. Creating a toxic work environment. Like, how does Tony Khan allow this? And the report right now is that both men have been suspended. As they should be. Both of them should be suspended. One more than the other, but definitely both of them. Then I see people online saying, "Oh, you can't suspend Punk now. AEW All Out is this weekend. It's in Chicago. You can't have a Chicago show without Punk. The crowd's gonna hijack the show. Oh no." Like, what? Does CM Punk have you in a chokehold too? Are you that much of a slave to numbers and your audience that you're too scared to have a show in Chicago without Punk being there? Crowd's gonna chant CM Punk hijack. Okay, that's CM Punk's fault. CM Punk is the reason he's not at this show. We can't reward bad behavior. What message does this send to the roster if you let CM Punk go to this show after what he did a week ago? If the fans hijack the show, fine, let him. It'd be a reminder to Tony Khan of who ruined the show for you. And speaking of Tony Khan, a new report is out. Again, I'm just the messenger. Take the report with a pinch of salt. CM Punk confronted Tony Khan in his locker room in what has been characterized as a heated, intense manner. At one point, according to 3 sources who've heard the situation, he told Tony Khan he quit and chewed Khan out. CM Punk really went in there and started yelling at Tony Khan and apparently quit. I love Punk, but good riddance. Tony Khan wasn't going to fire him, so that was the best bet anyway. Let me know your thoughts down below.